What's going on, fellow Wastelanders? Welcome back to the channel. Shock Radio here, bringing you the latest news in CROSSOUT. Planned balance changes for an upcoming update coming in the second half of July. So they're bringing a number of changes necessary to kind of balance out the game. So we're going to talk about a few of these changes. Just note that all the balance changes described in this news are not final, and they might be changed before they're introduced into the game, or they might not be implemented at all. So you never know what they could do, so you got to be cautious. But also, if you're seeing this before a lot of other people, take advantage of what these changes can do in the market. Balance changes always affect weapons in the market. Things that get buffed go up in price. Things that get nerfed go down in price. So if you're the lucky carrier of any of these items that are getting buffed, you might expect an increase in market value, or some things that are getting nerfed might go down in value. If you can find some treasures in the list of items in these balance changes to get on the cheap before they increase in price, then that's the way to go to make coin and CROSSOUT. So let's get right into what they're changing. A lot of very interesting changes they are bringing to the game, it looks like. So rotation speed is planned to be increased for a number of weapons, which some of these numbers are actually huge. So looking at the MG13 Equalizer and MG14 Arbiter, getting an increase of 44% rotation speed, Miller, Reaper, Spike, and a Toadfish by 58%. Now the Spike, the Toadfish, pretty massive on Leviathans, I think. I mean, Leviathans rely heavily on the Oppressor engine. This is just going to add on to the bonus of the Oppressor, and we'll talk more about the Oppressor because that might change in the future after these balance changes. So the AC-43 Rapier, AC-50 Storm, the Whirlwind, Stillwind, and the Yokai, so pretty much all autocannons, are getting the 42% therms, and Jewels are getting the 17% increase in rotation speed. So hopefully we'll see more of these here autocannons like Stillwinds and Storms, for example, able to be utilized more so on wheel builds, because currently you don't see these on wheel builds, especially not Whirlwinds. And Storms you can use those on wheel builds because they're a special tier item, but you just want to have those on hovers too. I mean, same with Therms, really. Therms, even for the running gun, and everything hovers, everything hovers. Tempest, the Whirl, and the Astrius getting an increase of rotation speed by 60%. Now, I've always liked the Tempest and the Whirl for some beefy wheel builds. So this increased by rotation speed by 60% for weapons like Tempest, Whirl, and Astrius. Pretty big. Even the Cyclone getting an increase by 36%. I don't think this is going to do much for the Cyclone. The Cyclone has a pretty giant hitbox. I mean, I've seen Cyclones used well on Omni wheels before. I'm not sure I would want that giant hitbox, low durability on a wheel build in particular, so I don't know if this is going to do much for Cyclone, but we'll see. Little Boy, Hawk, Batman, also a 71% increase in rotation speed, so that's going to be huge. I mean, this could be a massive rise in the use of cannons, I think, on wheel builds. In particular, there's some friends that are sitting in the sidelines waiting for their wheel Mastodon builds to reign supreme in the Wasteland. So those cannons are getting an increase by 71%, Elephant by 50%. Now this is insane, right? Mammoth, Mastodon, Phoenix, Synthesis, Prometheus, Helios, 100% increase in rotation speed. So when I talked about like Leviathans, like that could be huge for cannon use on levies, I feel like, because Mastodons, Mammoths, great armor, and adding that rotation speed so they'll be able to land their shots as a Leviathan, huge. Not to mention the fact that, wheel Mastodons and things like that, the wheel Mastodon can be a pretty good build at times for those drive-by, heat them up, just blast in your face cannon shots. And that increase of 100% rotation speed is really going to give those guys the edge. So yeah, Mastodon players are probably pretty happy right now. Median and Varun increased by 40%. Pretty stoked actually for the Varuns. My boys are getting a buff. I got the Varuns, probably one of the worst weapons in the Wasteland. Wink, wink. And I like using the Varuns, so I'm excited to try those guys out. They're actually the cheapest weapon on PlayStation. I think they were like 100 coin for a purple weapon. I have a couple of Varuns sitting there waiting to be sold. Walt Helicon, a 47% increase in rotation speed. Helicons are pretty much on every levy, so that's going to be pretty massive for Helicon levies. Perhaps we'll see some KTM style wheel builds and things of that nature. Narwhal getting a massive increase in rotation speed by 114%. Typhoon? 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 Typhoon's nowhere to be found here, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to be huge for the Narwhal, but we got some bad news coming from the Narwhal, so stay tuned for this video for yeah, some unfortunate news for the Narwhal. Jotun and Aurora getting a 25% increase in rotation speed. Quasar and Pulsar a 75% increase. That is going to be lovely for Quasar and Pulsar wheel builds, actually. So I'm pretty excited to try my Quasars on a wheel build, at least. I don't have Pulsars yet, but Pulsar users could be pretty happy. Although we got some bad news for Pulsar users as well in this patch note, so stay tuned for that. Trigger getting an increase of 18%, Destructor 12%, Blockchain by 8%, and Assembler a 22% increase in rotation speed. Now the dev's comment is low rotation speed is an outdated weapon balancing mechanic that affects only vehicles with wheels, tracks. Therefore, many of the weapons that use this mechanic are only used in combination with the oppressor. The increase to the rotation speed of most of the weapons will allow players to utilize them efficiently in combination with other engines and movement parts that don't strafe. And using the oppressor will now make the rotation of weapons as comfortable as possible. Now they also state they understand these changes may make the oppressor less popular, so they may rework the perk if it becomes too unpopular. I think it absolutely it probably will become pretty dang unpopular for a lot of builds, I think. But then again, it might just make the oppressor insanely OP, honestly. So it might make the oppressor used even more, and these weapons used even more. So we'll see. Will we have like some crazy Narwhal wheel concoction builds with the oppressor engine? I do agree with the dev statement that rotation speed kind of leads to limited use of items on wheels. Pretty much everything except for dogs, shotguns, melee is used on hovers and legs, omnis, anything that can strafe. You want maneuverability in the wasteland oftentimes over wheels. If you have range, if you have a dog, obviously, or any kind of shotgun build, more so, or any close range build, better on wheels, faster. Strafing capabilities give you such an advantage in the wasteland, so it's pretty awesome. Hopefully these changes have a nice effect in the wasteland. What are your thoughts below? Let me know in the comments. So buggy wheels, Bigfoot and Sabbath wheels are actually getting a change. Unfortunately, the perk of these wheels will now have reduced efficiency in combination with other movement parts. So the perks of these wheels are quite efficient as is, but combining them with other movement parts strengthens vehicles quite significantly. The change doesn't affect builds made with only one type of wheel, but it weakens vehicles with a lot of different movement parts and the playstyle aimed at using all possible perks. So this is actually a pretty decent nerf for a lot of various dog builds. And just a slight example, my Firebug build uses only 2 Sabbaths in the very back of my Firebug build. The rest are Hermit wheels for durability, and the Sabbaths will give my Firebug a nice boost in speed when I start taking damage. So this is going to, affect my Firebug build. Their example is if half of the movement parts on the vehicle are buggy wheels, their perk currently works at 50% of its maximum, meaning it reduces speed requirements by 20%. After the change, the perk in this situation will work at 35% of its maximum, reduce speed requirements by 14%. So yeah, if you're mixing up your wheels to get a little bit of this, a little bit of that, that's going to be no bueno anymore, or a little bit less effective anyway. So a welcome small nerf to wheel dog builds. So Bigfoot, Sleipnir, Tank Track, and Meat Grinder, what are they doing? So they're changing the group of these wheels in the tonnage calculation mechanic. Interesting. Now installing those parts will cause other low movement parts to increase the tonnage and use their perks only if they make contact with the ground. So that's very interesting. If you're using any kind of Bigfoots now, you want a tilted build. Well, if your wheels aren't touching the ground, your smaller wheels, you're not going to get that tonnage increase. The same with Tank Tracks, Meat Grinders, and Sleipnirs. So when this mechanic was first introduced, we did not separate these movement parts into a group separated from most low movement parts to avoid inconvenience to tilted vehicles, and designs with wheels suspended in the air were not popular at the time. So sounds like they have more suspended wheel builds. Now with the increased popularity of Bigfoot, there are cars with lower wheels that act as a source of tonnage and perks without touching the ground, which is unfair to builds with mechanical legs and hovers that don't have the ability to do so. So they're doing a lot of buffing to wheel builds, for example, by boosting the rotation speed of weapons, but simultaneously doing slight tweaks in the perks and the likes of wheels to kind of balance them out a little bit. So we'll see how that plays out in the end. So Young Wang, Fortune, and Porcupine are also seeing some changes in this coming update. The projectile trajectory no longer depends on the movement speed of the vehicle. The comment of the change makes shooting at longer distances while moving easier. I'm not really sure how I feel about this. I don't have much experience with Young Wangs, Fortunes, or Porcupines. I've seen Porcupines played a lot just from being in clan battles, and I understand that the faster you're moving with Porcupines, the faster they'll move. I've seen players kind of move quickly forward and then pull back, reverse quickly using hovers to kind of give their Porcupine extra trajectory speed going up hills and things, launching them in the air. So I don't know if this is going to be good or bad with Porcupines. If there's any Porcupine players, let me know your thoughts for this in particular. They don't mention like increasing the projectile speed or whatever of these items. So the projectile trajectory no longer depends on the movement speed of the vehicle. It's very vague. It's just very vague. I'm curious to see how this is going to work anyway, is what I'm just, the end of the day, what I'm trying to say. So we also have a slight nerf here to the ever so popular wheeled brick meta builds. Bonus change to cabin's maximum speed upgrade. So bonus change from plus 3 kilometers to plus 3%. I believe they changed, what did they just did a change like this with, oh yeah, I think they mentioned it actually. The change is similar to the change of the Phobos passive skill. Yeah, there you go. The upgrade will not lose its relevance in comparison to other upgrades in the power category, but will give a slightly lower bonus to slower cabins. So they're trying to slow down the heavy cabins a little bit. This is a very small tweak, but a tweak nonetheless to the max top speed of those brick builds that we all hate right now that are roaming the wasteland. So we'll see what effect that plays in the upcoming update. So the ZS33 Hawk, the perk now speeds up reloading by 10% instead of 0.3 seconds. Batman, the perk now speeds up reloading by 15% instead of 0.5 seconds. So what do the devs have to say? The changes are due to the fact that the time bonus could make these weapons reload too fast in some combinations with other reload time bonuses, percentage bonuses. The changed perks will be slightly more efficient or at the same level at reducing reload time on most vehicles, but will lose effectiveness in combination with other bonuses that are too great. So Spike added perk increased the impulse of other installed Spike 1 parts by 35%. So the unique feature of the Spike 1 high impulse is almost unnoticeable in its current form. Adding the perk will make the impulse noticeable on medium power score vehicles with 3 spikes, but will not increase it at low power score levels where the mass of enemy vehicles is much lower. So very interesting. So the Spike's also getting that rotation speed buff along with this increase of impulse. So Crossbow's making a comeback. Are they making a comeback in the wasteland? Young Wang is getting a balance. Previously the perk increased the damage for each energy point spent on modules by 6%. Now the bonus also depends on the rarity of modules. Legendary 6%, epic 5%, special 4%, rare 3%, common 2%. So their comment was the efficiency of the weapons was too high at a wide range from 7,000 to 16,000 power score. The change aims to weaken the weapon at low power score and in clan confrontation, but keep it relevant in battles at high power score. So this could be good news for you guys running the booster levies out there. We'll see how the damage plays out in the end. If you're playing high power score, 16,000, good. What about 40,000? It should be good, right? So change to the very much unloved Quantum. We're getting a bonus to the energy weapons damage is now 25% instead of 20%. So a 5% increase in the Quantum bonus. Very, very niche cabin. So good to see that get some love. It's very, very unused. You can tell by the low cost, but at least on PlayStation, it's very, very cheap. So it's compared to other epic cabins. Quantum has a rather weak and narrowly focused perk that needs strengthening. Absolutely. Caucus, depending on the spread on flight, speed increased by 2 times. High efficiency when used on armored aircraft. The change only affects the spread in flight with the rotor on. It does not affect ground gameplay in any way. So dependence of spread on flight speed increased by 2 times. So caucuses are going to be less accurate in the skies. Sweet. Thank you. Bigfoot steering tonnage is going to be increased from 1,250 kilograms to 1,500 kilograms. Changes due to the changing group of Bigfoot and the tonnage calculation mechanics. The change is necessary because the Bigfoot's tonnage is often insufficient for heavy vehicles, and the lower wheels will no longer increase it. So that's a good change to help balance out the wheel thing they got going on. So Gravistar is seeing a slight tweak here. Radiators now work with the Gravistar like with other shotguns, meaning they give it a reduced bonus to time before overheat, high efficiency at 8,000 to 11,000 power score, and in clan confrontation. So a slight nerf to the Gravistar build. So the Tackler also getting some changes. Energy consumption reduced from 6 to 5 points, power score reduced from 810 to 675, and damage reduced by 19%. So less energy consumption, more tacklers. You're gonna have an extra tackler on there now. Yeah, you're literally gonna be able to have a whole extra tackler, I feel like. Yeah, 35 energy is the max. That's defo gonna be a whole extra tackler on a build. Pretty cool. So low popularity of this machine gun. The changes will create more options for building a vehicle with a tackler, from installing more tacklers to installing additional modules. The reduce in damage is due to the fact that reduced power consumption alone would make it overpowered. I agree, when you can add just a whole other tackler. But I mean, this kind of defeats the purpose though also, because if you can add one additional tackler, that would only give you like a 20% increase in damage, right? They're reducing the damage by 19%, so like what is that gonna really do? I guess mainly better for adding modules at that point. Like, I don't know. What do you guys think of this? This one kind of got me a little bit. I'm like, damage reduced, like that's the cool. Energy consumption reduced, but I feel like you're just making up for the extra tackler that people are gonna have on their build. Anyway, with Snowfall, energy consumption reduced from 10 to 9 points, power score reduced from 1350 to 1215. Logic is similar to the tackler changes, so except that Snowfall isn't getting a damage reduction. I mean, I'm cool with the damage reduction on the tackler, but the 19% seems a bit steep. Does it? That seems steep. Anyway, I can't get over that. Comment and tell me I'm wrong. Narwhal, this thing. Narwhal. I'm gonna look up the pronunciation. Well, I was way off. So the Narwhal. I don't. That doesn't sound good. The Narwhal. No. The Narwhal. The Narwhal. No. The increase in spread after a shot reduced from 2 degrees to 1. Weapon lacks efficiency. The change allows to quickly fire the entire clip with higher accuracy. I can't get over how off I was on the pronunciation of that word, so we're just gonna have to take a minute here. So anyway, they're getting a massive increase in accuracy. Increase in spread after a shot reduced from 2 degrees to 1. So maybe the Narwhal will see some more use cases in the future. Up next, we have the Omnibox perk. Now increases speed by 15% instead of 10% in the first mode, power by 25% instead of 20%. It speeds up cooldown and reloading by 20% instead of 15%. So maybe they're looking at that cannon change they did where they changed the perk from seconds to percentages. Maybe this is in combination with the Omnibox percentage increase there. So cabin lacks efficiency. I've always actually really liked the Omnibox, but I do agree it does sort of lack efficiency in a lot of ways. Change improves each of the modes, increasing their impact of gameplay. I do like the shape and form of the Omnibox. So up next on the list, we have the Step Spider Cabin. The perk no longer reduces rocket damage. I think is pretty dang awesome. The Step Spider, like, reducing the damage of rockets was just terrible. So the change is due to the low efficiency of the cabin. I mean, they've been changing this cabin around a lot lately, trying to find its place. It's a Step Spider cabin, and the perk is no longer a spider perk, it's rocket perk. So this is their way of making it a little bit more efficient for rockets. Now, are we going to see this used on Lucifers? That's going to be wild. It's going to be wild. Like, I'm looking at Lucifers right now, like, bruh. So the Orthron is up next. One of my favorite purple shotguns to use for whatever reason. I've always thought it's kind of a terrible shotgun to use on console. Maybe on PC it's actually pretty awesome for mouse aim, but console, you know, us controller scrubs, you have to use that at like the perfect range and have really good accuracy for it. So it's kind of a hard shotgun to use, but I've always really liked the Orthron. And for some reason it's been insanely expensive over the past like year or two. So I don't know why that is, but it is what it is. Now it might see an even more increase in price. The price is going back, it's starting to drift back up as the Orthron is fusible in the current mini event pass. So perhaps that's why they're buffing it. So people will use the hugging cabins for getting a Orthron's fuse. But anyway, they're increasing the projectile damage by 10%, projectile impulse increase by 20%, pellet damage increased by 10%, and the pellet spread reduced by 10%. So lack of efficiency given the complex mechanics of using the weapon. Fully agree, should be buffed. I'm just not excited to see what this is going to do to the market values of the Orthron. So, you know, if you're getting first dibs on Orthrons and you guys notice that they're cheap because of the event pass right now, you may want to consider picking up some Orthrons to either use or for fun, or to potentially flip later for a profit. So Fin Whale is getting a change as well. Speed bonus reduced from 25% to 23%. So this is actually pretty massive when you add that in to the fact that the max speed of cabins is getting a reduction for heavy builds as well. So this 2% decrease in speed from the Fin Whale in combination with that decrease in maximum cabin speed for a lot of heavy cabins could play a pivotal role in changing the brick meta. Perhaps not as pivotal as I'm making it out to be, but it is a small step forward in changing that meta that a lot of people kind of want to see a little bit more balance. So perhaps it won't go away completely, but this may be at least a little bit more balanced gameplay after this update. So far, guys, I'm not gonna lie, going through this update, I'm pretty excited for what is in this update. Their comment on the Fin Whale: we expect that after the weapon rotation speed changes, a significant number of vehicles that use wheels will replace the oppressor with the Fin Whale, which will make the average speed of armored vehicles in the game higher. To reduce this effect, we are bringing the speed bonus of the Fin Whale closer to that of the oppressor. So curious to see what that's going to do to the cost. The cost of the Fin Whale. The Fin Whale, will that remain high in value? Will that see a dip in value? And also the decrease or use of brick dog builds in clan battles especially, but just all over the wasteland. If you haven't seen it, I even built a 3K brick build for new players using the base shotguns, so you can check that video out as well. The Amamori is getting a slight nerf as well. They keep tweaking the Amamori. The Amamori is insanely expensive, still used on pretty much any build that you want to be viable at high power score, mid power score. So the module now absorbs 300 damage instead of 400, so that's pretty huge. It's like a 25% nerf right there to how much the module absorbs. Durability reduced from 303 to 252, so the Amamori is also going to be less durable. Now there are a few builds that you can get away with not using the Amamori, but this could be a good thing. You know, I know people are tired of indestructible guns. I know it. So even with the increased energy consumption, the module remains too strong and therefore highly popular. So they're trying to just reduce the popularity a little bit. Bro, the module's so popular also because it's in freaking relic crafting recipes. You jerks. Gah! Gah! But also it's on every build in the game, so there's that. So Yeti is also getting some tweaks. I actually may have overlooked this earlier. I did like a slight read through, but what is happening with the Yeti? Recharge time increase from 16 seconds to 25 seconds, like that of the Chameleon. Ouch, brother. Ouch, that's a hit in the gut for Yeti users there. Manually disabling the module now reduces recharge time by 68%, i.e. to 8 seconds as before. Ooh, the manually disabling delay is now 2 seconds instead of 1 second. Lots of changes to the Yeti. There's so much to be said here about the Yeti. Like, man, mainly the cool thing about the Yeti was obviously just the unlimited cloaking, but when someone verified you, you could hit the Yeti button, decloak yourself, if you're not like me and can actually remember to decloak yourself when the enemy's verifier is going off, and that would allow your cloak to come back before their verifier came back. So that might be a little bit harder to kind of cloak in, break the verifier, and then recloak and go in. Because sometimes with a dog build, you got to do that. You got to cloak up, kind of bait the verifier, as we like to say. Get the enemy to use their verifier, and then, you know, disable your cloak, reload it, and then go back in while the enemy is recharging their verifiers. A common strategy. This is going to reduce the effectiveness, it sounds like, of that strategy. So Yeti getting a little nerf, Amamori getting a little nerf. Dang gummit, I use all those things. Mandrake energy consumption reduced from 14 to 13 points. Pretty sweet. What? Power score reduced from 2800 to 2600. All right. Similar to Tackler and Snowfall, it just doesn't get used much. I mean, Mandrake's high skill weapon, man. You gotta really know how to aim that thing. You know what I'm saying? Can't just be shooting Mandrakes all willy-nilly now. We'll see. Will Mandrakes be used? Is this enough to bring Mandrakes into the forefront of the builds out there in the wasteland? We'll see. Narwhal getting some changes. Energy consumption increase from 12 to 13 points. Power score increase from 2400 to 2600. Rip Narwhal, man. I mean, you're getting a massive buff of rotation speed. Narwhal wheel builds, what? But then they're going to increase the energy consumption. Really sad. Is this going to counter the Narwhal Akari King builds in Levy Wars? I mean, I did a little bit of basic math on this one, and it seems like you're no longer, or it's going to be very, very difficult. You have to use like the hot red engine to get away with it. But the Narwhal, 2 Narwhals and a King on a Hadron, which is just like insanely fast reload. So I feel like what they're trying to do here is just get rid of the cheesy, I guess, King reload Narwhal builds. So they're not actually nerfing the Narwhals if you're using them on, you know, other cabins that aren't the Hadron necessarily. But if you're trying to get away with using the Narwhals with King mines, 2 Narwhals and a King mine, you're going to be a little bit hard pressed now. So I think that's what they're aiming at with this Narwhal balance. I think I should call this balances. This really is a pretty good balance. What do you guys think so far? This is a kind of a long one if you're still with me here, but I feel like they're really balanced. There's a lot of balances overall. Not really the nerfs or buffs. It's more just they're trying to do some tweaks. Pulsars, damage upon hit reduced by 9%. Damage bonus for hitting modules reduced from 30 to 20%. I started seeing pulsars used in clan battles, but not that much. But after adding damage upon hit, the efficiency of pulsar increased significantly, and the perk began to be utilized more often. I mean, yeah, that's the idea of when you buff things. You want it to be used more often. I don't know if this was necessary, but you do see pulsars used quite a bit on Leviathan, so maybe this is to help that out a little bit. I mean, pulsars are pretty deadly in 4v4 clan battles, but nothing too crazy, you know. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is this pulsar nerf warranted, or maybe that's a PC thing they were directed at? I don't know. I'm playing on PlayStation. I don't see the need to nerf pulsar like that. Maybe with all the other changes, they thought it was necessary. Yokozuna getting a balance here. The perk now increases the cabin's power by 200% instead of 30%, and speed by 10% instead of 20%. What? Power by 200%? So you're just gonna be taking off like a freaking jet? What? What? Does this mean Yokozuna is gonna be able to push anything in the game? Like, you hit that power button and you can push anything? Does power affects the wedge, right? You're pushing power, right? I could be wrong about that one. That sounds crazy. The bonus to allies power is now 50%, and the speed bonus for allies is 10% for any cabins, not just heavy cabins as before. Oh, that's gonna be juicy. Oh, you can use the Yokozuna perk with light cabins now. So you know, before the perk of the Yokozuna was less effective, or as it is now anyway, the perk is less effective on lighter and medium cabins. So now it's going to be the same effectiveness for all cabins. Let's go. 200% power increase on my Griffin cabin. Let's go. That's insane. So the change affects the gameplay when using the Yokozuna perk. Due to the huge increase in power, it will be more suited for maneuvering and accelerating, and less for catching up with someone. The cabin will also be more useful for any allies, not just the ones with heavy cabins. That's pretty sick, not gonna lie, guys. Get to the market. Get your Yokozuna cabins. They're in the fusion event anyway, so we might not see that drastic of an increase in market cost of the Yokozuna, but we'll perhaps see an increase in the fatness of Targem's pockets. Hammerfall is getting a balance as well. Energy consumption increased from 10 to 11 points. Power score increased from 2,000 to 2,200. Rip brick Hammerfall builds. Is this the end of Hammerfall brick meta? You guys have to get breakers. You guys just gotta up your game. I hope you didn't have them fused, boys. Hope you didn't have them fused. Comment is the logic is similar to the Narwhal changes. So yeah, that's all I gotta say. This could be no bueno for heavy Hammerfall builds. You might have to change it up. That does suck if you haven't fused. I'm in the same boat, boys. We're getting to my downfall here. The Nidhogg damage reduced by 15%. I literally just fused my Nidhoggs. I don't know if you guys tune into my streams on Sundays or Wednesdays. I say the same things a lot. You never know who's tuning in, who hasn't heard your messages. I don't like fusing legendary weapons, and this is an exact reason, guys. And like, I get that like the legendary weapons that most people are fusing now are the ones in these battle passes, but this is a prime example of why you just don't freaking waste your coin on legendary weapon fusions. Just get relics eventually, or take your time to get relics and have fun with lower tier special items. Y'all are flipping out right now, I know. Like, get relics, pay to win, whatever. Get lower tier items that are just more fun and more diverse than wasting legendaries. Even like the purples, I don't like to waste too much time on purples, although purple can be relatively cheap and fun. I like the blue weapons, the special tier weapons. I like the relics. If you're gonna fuse things, and this is exactly why. Like, the Nidhogg is getting a damage reduction by 15%, and I fuse my Nidhoggs to play with my one Yorm build, and now look at us, look at me. So the shotgun stands out as having one of the highest hitboxes in the game for shotguns. You forgot to add one of the highest damage to energy consumption ratios, and has too high efficiency at a wide range of power score levels. From 6,000, 2 Nidhoggs and a Growl, to 18,000, 2 Nidhoggs and 1 Jormungandr. Yeah, this is me. This is me right there. Damn it. So anyway, they're killing my build. My rant is over. I'm sad. I'm gonna play the world's smallest violin over this one. And they did more to the Yorm. We're gonna get into what they did to the Yorm. They kind of balanced it, tweaked it. For stupid players like me that fused 2 Nidhoggs and 1 Jormungandr, yeah, you'll see what I'm talking about here. The Spark now reduces the armored vehicle's power and speed by 5% instead of 4% when dealing damage, but the effect stacks up to 12 times instead of 15. So we're gonna get a faster stack maybe, but not as much of a stack. Is that the case? No, it's the same. Hold on. Math. Okay, it's the same stack. Same stack, just faster. So this is partially a reversal of the recent changes that were supposed to make the Spark a more independent weapon. Unfortunately, it did not work as intended. Moreover, it became noticeably weaker as an auxiliary weapon. So, okay, cool. So it's basically the same. The Spark perk is now going to stack faster. Same perk, though. So the Tsunami and the Typhoon getting a recoil reduction. Now, this seems like a buff, but this is actually a nerf. They literally turned a buff into a nerf. Like, how does a game do this? Oh my god. Listen to this, guys. High efficiency in combination with the Whaler, the perk of which charges too quickly when using these guns. Basically, the Whaler Typhoon was the only good way to use the Typhoon in my opinion right now. I have a very negative outlook on Typhoon, so disagree with me in the comments below. But I hate my Typhoons. I want to fuse them. I hate them because they're not fused. They just are so heavy and so hard to put on a build, and just... Anyway, the Whaler was kind of the key. They're pretty good on a Whaler cabin, Typhoons and Tsunamis, but now with less recoil, the change will slightly increase the comfort of playing playing these weapons on other cabins, but it's gonna negatively affect the Whaler perk. So it's gonna charge the Whaler cabin perk slower instead of like instantaneous charging of the Whaler perk. Rip Whaler, Typhoon, Tsunami. Rip the only thing Typhoon was fun to play on. Breaker also, oh, Breaker getting the same nerf as the Hammerfall. What? Energy consumption increased from 10 to 11 points. Power score increased from 3,000 to 3,300. Well, I take it back. If you have Hammerfalls and you want Breakers, maybe Breakers aren't the answer. Nah, I'm just kidding. They're probably still good. This isn't bad, right? I don't play Breakers right now, so I'm not like, you know, I'm not familiar on what you guys are gonna have to drop to change your builds now, but yeah, the shotgun nerf is hitting Breakers as well. So Jormungandr, yeah, really sad about this, you guys. This is devastating. Jormungandr seems like a buff, but it's also a huge nerf on, we'll say it, my builds and pretty much everyone's Leviathan out there. All the people that fuse their Nidhoggs now are basically... Yeah, just take a deep breath, guys. Take a deep breath. It'll be okay. We'll get through this together. Jormungandr now increased damage by 33%, but the heating from a pellet reduced from 12.5% to 5%, guys. This is massive, guys. Absolutely massive, okay? So before I even get to this, we'll read the comments and we'll come back. The shotgun was weak as a standalone weapon and was exclusively used in combination with 2 Nidhoggs. Indeed. Which is what made it great in my opinion, because you didn't have to get 3 damn relics for a usable build. It was 1 relic and 2 legendaries, which I always recommend as a great entry level relic build, because you only need 1. Well, that changes now. The problem was due to the fact that a shot from a single Jormungandr heated enemy parts by 100%, and its own damage was lower than that of the Nidhogg. Absolutely 100% true. So this is actually amazing, but also really freaking bad. The changes should help Jormungandr become a weapon in its own right. So breaking this down, yes, the Nidhoggs did do more damage. Well, now the Yorm does more damage. Yes, it did heat enemy parts by 100%. Well, now 1 Jormungandr is only going to heat up to 40%, guys. You get 8 pellets from a Jormungandr. Well, now instead of that 100% heat, you're only going to get 40% heat. You're going to need 3 Jormungandrs, and it's going to be slight overkill now, which is stupid. Even if you had 2 Jormungandrs, 1 Nidhogg, you're not getting the same heat, which is massive. Pretty much every Leviathan currently in the meta Leviathan clan battles is using, at minimum, you don't have to have Nidhoggs, but 1 Jormungandr for heat. Well, this is going to be a huge change, massive change, I think, to the Leviathan meta on what is on a Leviathan. Yeah, you're gonna need more Jormungandrs. I mean, there are Leviathans out there I see with multiple Nidhoggs, so they could simply just with the snap of a finger get 2 more Jormungandrs instead of Nidhoggs to get that extra heat. But man, this increase though in damage, brother, that's gonna be huge if you have 3 Jormungandrs. So this is like kind of massive, but also, damn it, why did I fuse my Nidhoggs? Damn it! No. This is why you don't fuse legendaries. Just don't do it. This is why I don't have a fused Cyclone. This is why I don't have a fused Helios. I'm playing the game 6 years. I don't know why I haven't learned my lesson yet. You just don't fuse legendaries. Damn it, Shock. Damn it. And the last on this list, Flash. The Flash now reduces power and speed of the armored vehicle upon dealing damage, and slows the reload speed and cooldown rate of weapons by 5% instead of 3.5%, but the perk stacks up to 12 times instead of 17. So similar to the Spark That's good. I can't get over this Jormungandr thing. Oh man, I need more Jormungandrs now. This changes everything. Yuck. I think I did the fused Nidhoggs in a battle pass, so it's like that's cool, I guess. Waste of $10. Waste of $10. Damn it. So, final note, these are all the balance changes that are planned for the next update at the moment, but we would like to remind you that the list may still change as a result of internal tests and additional study of statistics. Share your thoughts and ideas in the comments, and we will see you soon. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I may pass any of my thoughts through the partner Discord as well. I'll take all these changes in. I need to read through this again and kind of think about everything. What are your guys' thoughts? I think there is a lot being balanced. A lot of nerfs, a lot of buffs, but ultimately I think this is just a balance. Indeed, a balance. Massive buff to rotation speed of weapons. So thank you guys for watching this video. Special shout out to our members, Twitch subscribers, people out there hitting that join button on YouTube for the 99 cents, $2.50, supporting the channel, the best 99 cents you'll ever spend. We are live Sundays and Wednesdays. I'm gonna try to stream some clan battles today, perhaps. So tune in twitch.tv/shock radio for some potential clan battle action if you want to watch some clan battles go down. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.